Second. Switch the screens. Are you guys good? You wrote everything you need to write?
Yeah, I broke.
I'm gonna do this little divisor. We got this big fourth degree dividend. Oh, I got a 0 in here. 0x to the third. Did you guys remember the 0? On a Monday, we even remembered a 0. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna do this over here. Everybody can see it. Up high. X squared minus x plus 1. Quartic, fourth degree polynomial with a missing third degree term. With 2x squared minus x plus 5. What's the 5 called? It's called a constant, right? With no x, that's a constant. What's the 2 called? That's a coefficient, a number in front of a variable, a coefficient. Okay, so I'm going to focus on my efforts on making x squared match x to the 4th. Ignore everything else and focus there. So what do I need to multiply x squared by to make it match x to the 4th? Well, just x squared. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. Distribute down. And wow, there's not a whole lot of numbers here, is there? Just a bunch of ones. Invisible 1, -1, invisible 1. Question so far. Okie dokie. So I'm at 2 minus 1 would be 1x squared. 0 plus a negative. Nope, that's not what I said. 0 minus a negative. Those two negatives cancel out, and that's going to make it a positive x to the 3rd. And those are gone. Bring down the minus x. The minus sign, yeah. So take a minute. Remember that we're subtracting. So minus a negative, that's really addition. 0 plus x to the 3rd is a positive x to the 3rd. All right, we'll go through it again. This time we need to match x to the 3rd. So we only need x up top. Distribute x through. And long division requires subtracting down. Negative x minus x, negative 2x. X squared plus x squared, 2x squared, x to the 3rd minus x to the 3rd is gone. Bring down the 5 and we're on our last round. Last time. This time we'll have to match 2x squared. It's already x squared and I want it to look just like this. So really just needs a 2 in front. Distribute down. subtraction. And our remainder is 3. A lot of steps. Okay, so what's the quotient? X squared minus x plus 2 plus 3 all over. Nope. Thank you, Ben. There's our answer. And that's a full review. Synthetic division on page 334. Number 2 of bell work was to define synthetic division. It's a short definition. I've been talking about this word synthetic, and there's a lot of variations in the. Another definition of synthetic is like. I can't remember. You want to look it up? It's a hard word. It's got a lot of different meanings. Alright, before I get into what synthetic entails, I'm going to show the answers from Thursday's work, which was 6 through 8, 17 through 20. Yeah, the negative is underneath. And there's a minus sign to the left. Minus the negative, that becomes addition.
Shortcut for dividing 21. 5 by 2. By of the x minus 4. 4. X minus 4. Shortcut for dividing polynomials by binomials.
But they cancel better, so.
I've been counting every single pencil and every single
conflict is the same. You're against the dolphin. We lost last year against the Oasis. You guys aren't even but he gets lazy.
Dominic, was it you? Yeah, be quiet. I want to point out something I haven't had a chance to until this moment. Oh, okay. I wasn't aware. Okay. Here it is. That's fine. When I look, remainder 3, remainder -1, remainder 5, remainder 9. I want to point out to you that negative remainders can be written differently. Notice that this is a minus sign instead of plus a negative. So when I write it myself, I typically write plus a negative. Then when I'm on a multiple choice exam or a big ideas, I get confused because now it's a minus sign because I'm searching for a -1 and this says +1, you know? But oh, they wrote it minus. Do you see it? This one's plus, 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 and this one's minus because it was negative. Is that okay? I'm a little concerned. I consulted the schedule, scanned it over several times, and your quiz is after Thanksgiving. So you have a quiz Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
I always been there.
There's a Monday, and then Tuesday. Study Thanksgiving. I don't even know. Yeah. So I wanted to do I just wanted you guys to keep that in mind. As you're learning all week long, you have to be taking notes in such a way that, let's say you absolutely forget everything, like you're going to, you'll be able to look at your notes and that'll help you recall this. Okay, so just be really diligent this week in knowing that you're going to forget everything. Alright, let's head to 334 and talk shortcuts. Okay. Here it is, page 334. Synthetic division is a shortcut for dividing polynomials by binomials in the form of x minus k. Your book does a great job of working this out here. Let's get into it. Okay. 334. So I have these steps for you. Okay, I got quite a bit shorthand for you to write down to help you remember the process. Before I show you the steps in my words, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what the book has. Okay? I'll help you try to understand this book. When you get back from Thanksgiving, you'll be looking at this example and the steps I give you. So, all right, the very first thing you do, this is your divide sign. You take this little binomial and you set it equal to 0 and you solve it. You get x equals 3. Already quite different from long division. That's not a step in long division, right? Now, you take that number and you put it outside this upside down division bar. So your synthetic division is a box, but it's not like this one. It's flipped over. It's an upside down box. Okay? Now, your book doesn't say set this equal to 0 and solve it. Your book says because the divisor is x minus 3, k equals 3. And they put a k value here. So personally, I think you should understand what's happened is that that's been solved. Set it equal to 0, solve it, put it there. Okay, in the top row of the upside down box, we have coefficients. So that's kind of why I reminded you of that word earlier. Coefficients are numbers in front. So when I look at the dividend, the number in the very front is a -1, and then there's a 4. Now right here we have a 0x, so I'm going to insert a 0, and there's a 9. So those coefficients fill in the top row of this upside down division box. No x's written here. Because we're starting with a 3rd degree, 2nd degree, and there's no x to the 1st. Whenever that happens, you put a 0 in. We did it in Bellwork with the 3rd. One thing that makes this a quicker process is that we don't write x's along the way. We're just using numbers. Okay? Yes, and people generally ask that when you first see it, but after you do 3 or 4, you're sold. Okay, the process is at least 4 times quicker. When we factor polynomials, we use synthetic division, and I'll be able to factor 4 times as quick as someone trying to do long division. And the ACE math students, they don't remember the long division, they remember this right here. Okay, so just give it a shot before you decide you get stuck on the long division. Okay, the next step, you bring down the first number. You just rewrite it. -1 here. You then multiply everything times this number outside here. This k value is kind of the star of the problem. Every number down here gets multiplied by that. So -1 times 3 is -3. They have this nicely written here in green. They say add. I show a plus sign. So I think you should write that in. We're adding down. 4 plus a -3 is 1. You multiply again. 1 times 3 is 3. Add down. I got plus signs all the way through here. 0 plus 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. The last number listed is the remainder. So we're multiplying, adding, multiplying, adding, multiplying, adding. And when you're done, you have a remainder. It is cool.
On the second step, why do they do -3 only to 4?
What do you mean it's a 4?
Like there's -1, 4, 0, and 9. Why do they subtract 3 from 4 and not 1?
This 3 is the result of -1 times 3. You write it here, and then you add. Alright, so here's some steps for you, and then I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do 1 where you can just watch, and then I'm going to do 2 with you, and then in 3 more, you'll feel a lot better about this, okay? Alright, first off, there's some rules about synthetic division. The divisor has to be a linear binomial, which means it's short, like x plus 2 or x minus 8. If the divisor is long, like this spell word question, you can't do this process. This shortcut only works for really factors. This is really a factoring process. So long division you must know, because if the divisor is bigger than a binomial, you have to do long division. Synthetic division works for short divisors like x plus 2 and x minus 8. X is to the first degree. That's a requirement. The other requirement is that you have to include missing zeros. If there's a missing exponent, you gotta have zeros just like with the long division. So here are the steps we just went through. First, we set the divisor equal to 0 and solve. Then you write the solution outside the division box, which is an upside down box, and the coefficients make the top row. And I'll just stop talking for a minute. Okay, so we got coefficients in the top box, no x's. Can I scroll?
Yes.
Scroll a bit. You bring down the first number, and then you multiply the outside number from whatever is brought down, and then you write the product in the second column. You add and repeat, and that's the process. It's so fast. I said 4 times quicker, but I bet I'm like 10 times quicker since I did the long division. Mental math. Well, disclaimer. These problems are by nature longer, right? So this is like a 3.
So like this process could work on that one.
No, you can't do it on this one.
Why not?
Because this is 3. And you can only do that one. So these two little guys look like factors. This is what we're going to use the factors. Some do it. There's a lot more mistakes that happen because that's subtraction. All right, the question I'm gonna do. Okay. All right, here's the example I'm gonna go through first. It's negative x to the third plus 3x squared plus x divided by x minus 2. All right, so I'll go through the steps. I'll do x minus 2 equals 0. And I get x is 2. Take that 2 and I write it outside of an upside down division box. Okay. In the top row, I put coefficients. So let's see here. I have a -1. I have a 3. I have the invisible one. And I'm also going to put a 0 in for the constant. There's no number at the end. So I'm putting a 0 in as if it was plus 0. So it's -1, 3, 1, 0. Those are the coefficients.
Bring down the -1.
Bring down the -1. And then you multiply. -1 times 2. -2. Are you with me right there, Mary? That's where your question was.
That's why, where'd you get that negative? You just bring the -1 down?
Yeah, the first number just gets written. And then you're multiplying after that.
I think I did it correctly. I'm not sure.
Is that big enough? Okay. Alright, so, and then this is adding. That's what makes this a little bit easier. So you don't have to think about 2 signs at once. So 3 plus a -2 is 1.
I still don't get how you got the -2.
Okay. So this -1 I just rewrote here.
Okay.
I multiply this number times the one on the outside. This is like the star of the problem. Everything gets multiplied out
So
here.
we're basically doing the same thing.
It's almost just inverted, yeah. Instead of subtracting, we're adding. And the reason it's all inverted is because we set that little guy equal to 0, change the sign.
I did it.
Alright, and now I'm going to multiply again.
2 times 1 is 2.
Then I add.
Well, I did it correctly. And then the remainder.
My last number is a 6, that's the remainder.
I like this one.
But, so wait, I gotta still, there's one more little thing here. You have to figure out how to write the answer. Because I'm not just looking for the remainder, I'm looking for the entire quotient. So the quotient is -x² plus x plus 3 plus 6 all over x minus 2. Where did I get all that from? So,
Where's the negative x
Yep.
squared?
yep.
That's the quotient part's what I'm confused about.
Calling her. Okay, so when you're dividing, you always decrease an exponent, right? Because you're taking an x out. So if my problem began with x to the third, so this problem started with -x to the third. Down here, this is your answer. Your result is 1 exponent lower. 1 degree less than the dividend. So that started x to the third, so this one is x². This is x, this is the constant, and the 6 is the remainder. Yes, the last number is always the remainder. Then you found a factor, and that's a really good thing. We'll be searching for zeros a lot. You found something that divides evenly. Nope. And then what you get after that, you're going to try to factor again. And then you'll be fully factored. And if you can't, you can do the quadratic formula on that. All right, guys, let's try two more. Page 335, 6A and B. Here we go. I'm going to do one more, and then you guys can take off with letter B. See if you get it right. Okay. Questions so far? I got it all set up. You'll probably run out of time if you're relying on long division. It's so much more efficient. All right. Do you have questions about what I've done so far? Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. You've really only seen one so far. It's okay if you don't get it yet. That doesn't mean you're not going to get it.
I think I understand this. I gotta make sure I did this one right.
So I rewrite the one. But Kim, do you know what to do next? What do I do next? And then what? You add down -3 plus 2. Adding is easier than subtracting, people. It really is. That's what makes it easier. Well, I know. This is -3 plus 2. -7 plus a -2. I don't know. Change the signs on what? Yeah. No, this is how it worked out. The 7 was negative in the problem. Okay. And this -1 times 2 is a -2. And I just do -7 plus a -2. What's that? No, it's just if there isn't a number in front, there's an invisible 1. You got it, Cooper. Hey, let's go. Letter B.
Oh, I see. Wait. The 9 is supposed to be a lot. How is this supposed to be a lot? Oh, because I see. Plus maybe
So good. So far.
It's right in between, guys. It's right between 5 and 6.
Alright, sure enough, letter B resulted in a zero remainder, which means we found a factor. Now I need to give you guys a heads up. We are going to be solving equations later in this chapter. At some point, you have to solve this third degree equation. This will be step 1. You get a zero remainder. You work with this. You try to factor this. If this does not factor, you do the quadratic formula. A third degree polynomial has 3 answers. One of them would be -3. The other 2 would be the result of the quadratic formula. It's complicated, okay? This will end up being the easiest part. Okay. You see the 2, the -6, and the 2? Now, the exponent here is always 1 less than here. For all of them, it goes in order. So this was x to the 3rd, so that's weird. All right, you guys have 8 minutes to keep working. Don't stop. Don't stop working and start an off-task conversation over here. You have to get into this right now. Don't stop. Go right to the questions and keep asking questions. Don't get out of phone. Don't start thinking about something else. You have to figure this out now while it's fresh in your head. You're still mastering it. Go ahead. 9 through 15. It's the only 9 through 15 in chapter 4.3.
Oh. It's the same thing.
9 through 15. Oh, very good.
We're not doing 16. Why do we not just finish the entire page? Why do you want to do more work? Why do you want to do more work? It's one extra page. That's just annoying. Microphone.
I don't know.
Why do you put 9 through 16?
And then